Hi, Purpose Partner. Welcome to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose, a personal and spiritual development podcast for female entrepreneurs with a mission. We are your hosts, Brandie and Natalie.
We are founders of Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising, where we guide women to build profitable businesses online through diversifying your income, using kingdom principles in marketing, and operating in a spirit of rest so that you can create kingdom impact.
After this episode, be sure to join our Purpose Partner Facebook community and get your copy of our Rise to Your Purpose devotional so we can continue to serve you as we partner together in our faith and business. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey friends, thank you so much for joining another episode of Rise to Your Purpose. I am your host, Brandie, and here at Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising, we guide women to create a business that works for you while creating kingdom impact and operating in a place of rest. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Yvette Stancil. Yvette is a certified Christian life coach focused in forgiveness coaching with a doctorate in psychology, and she is just so dedicated to helping women uncover the root cause of their anger and their resentment towards others so that she can really just guide them towards forgiveness. And I love what actually sets her apart is her just exceptional talent in identifying relationship barriers and revealing those hidden emotions that oftentimes we don't even know we have, right? So she brings Jesus into the heart of her coaching practice, guiding and supporting women on their life-changing journey. And so today I'm just really excited for our conversation because we're actually going to be diving into how we can uncover and understand those unresolved emotions that I'm pretty sure we all carry. So, if you've ever felt like you're carrying a heavy burden of past hurts, but you're asking yourself, how do I actually let this go? This episode is for you. So welcome, Dr. Yvette. So grateful to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Brandie. I really appreciate being here today because a lot of women need to hear this.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. And that's why I wanted you to be one of my guests. So I would love for you to tell us about yourself. I know you have like an amazing background and not only in just like your psychology majors and you're getting your doctorate, but just in counseling and then transitioning into coaching. Can you share with us just like your journey of getting into counseling and then going into more coaching space and niching down into the forgiveness coaching?
Yeah. I think about it because, I was in Bible study last night and something came up about how God guides us on each and every step that we do. And it's amazing when you think of your life and how you proceed. And even though you have struggles and everything you go through, it's things that God gives you that you have to walk through. So then that's the way I describe how I got where I'm going and continuing to go where I'm supposed to go is, I started and wanted to help people. So that got me into psychology. But then I felt something was missing. I always kept feeling something was missing in my life. So then I said, well, what about positive psychology? Then I was like, And then, I thought about coaching and it led me to Christian coaching. So I went through that process and went through that training and everything. And it helps to have a psychology background too, on how I'll be able to relate, talk to people. And so at that time, I was doing Christian life coaching. And when I think about it, two things happened. Two clients came to me and they were struggling with some mother issues, which everybody has. It's either mother, father, sibling, cousins, friends, whatever. And when we uncovered it, we discovered that there was some unforgiveness that they need to move past that occurred when they were younger, that they hadn't been able to let go. And as a result, one of them, she was able to let go and not allow her mother to, I would say, get under her skin and irritate her. So that was one thing. But the one thing about forgiveness is I was reading about it, and I was, I was reading a book, and it came up in a forgiveness book that I was reading about Jesus. And you think about all he went through. I mean, those 3 years he was preaching and teaching, and how he was treated and he was hated and ridiculed. And then finally he ended up on the cross. And the one thing that struck me is when he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. And you think about, wow, I mean, here this, he went through all that. So what is it that we can't forgive people? I mean, our indiscretions are so little compared to what he went through.
Right.
It's like, why can't we forgive people, and just move on?
Yeah. Yeah, that is so that's like the question of the hour, right? Like, why
Right.
can't we forgive people and why is it hard? And I've even struggled with that myself of forgiving people, but I've also found in my forgiveness like the freedom and that I received by doing that, regardless of whether they ever said sorry or not, right? Or ever changed their ways.
Mhm.
Just me taking that action to forgive them and then seeing them through the eyes of Christ. And I can see that now, right? Like forgive them because they don't know what they do. Hurt people, right? So when you can kind of step back and you do offer that forgiveness and you can kind of see they're only able, and I'm just speaking from my own experience, right? Like
Mhm.
they're only able maybe to love me or behave to a certain capacity that they know. So they
Right.
really don't know, right? Forgive them.
Right.
They don't know what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And so I think that for me, that's been a powerful place where I can just forgive people that have hurt me for different things. And yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because that like I don't know, God just like right in this moment just connected those dots for me.
Right. It does. It does. I mean, um, if you don't mind, I have this powerful story sometimes I
Yes,
read to
please.
people. And you know, it's a passion I have of working with women with God. But I also want to work with women who inspire to walk with God. So the story, I'm gonna read it to you. It says, once she believed she had found true love and made significant move to another state to build a future with this person. However, time revealed his infidelity and betrayal, causing her intense feeling of betrayal, hurt, anger, disappointment, sadness, and unhappiness overwhelmed her. She felt trapped by these emotions, unable to find joy or peace. But deep inside, she knew she had to take action for her own well being. With a heavy heart, she confided in a trusted friend and sought solace by returning to church. There, she began her journey of healing and forgiveness, realizing that holding onto anger and resentment would only trap her in the past. She delved into self reflection and prayer, seeking God's guidance. She understood that forgiveness was not about excusing the action, but freed herself from the burden of negative emotions, allowing healing and growth. The process was not easy. She confronted her insecurities and fears, feeling the strength to forgive. With each step forward, a weight lifted off her shoulders, and she began to experience true healing. She embraced a future filled with love, joy, and fulfillment. As she continued her healing journey, she felt called to share the life-changing power of forgiveness with others. This is my story. I am not just a forgiveness coach, I am also blessed with a loving and supportive husband built on trust, forgiveness, and God's grace.
Wow. Wow, Yvette, thank you so much for sharing that with our community and with me today. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I said, God takes us through things, and you never know when you're growing up or whatever, and you go through hurts to realize how it's kind of empowering you
Mhm.
to help you move forward and to become a better person.
Yes. Yeah. So true. So I would love for you to share, like, what are some of those common triggers or maybe identifiers that to help us like understand like if we are carrying past hurts, but we're not really sure that, like we stuff down our emotions, right? So sometimes you're just not even aware what you're carrying.
With the holidays coming, it's interesting because we do see a lot of family and friends, and sometimes this is a hard time for people with family because they get together with them and they may see a cousin or a sibling they don't want to be with. And so it's sometimes it's kind of hard. And they might run into a friend this time of year. So
Right.
what happens is what comes out is anger. They're quick to anger, like they may be angry with somebody else at the moment because maybe they saw someone that just struck them the wrong way. Sometimes they feel betrayal, especially with infidelity.
Yeah.
And the other, there's hurt. You have people that will say things to you and they're so cruel and they may say something else and they're so hurtful and they make you feel bad. So you feel bad. I think one of the biggest things though is that you kind of think about it over and over what somebody has done to you.
Yeah.
It comes up, either they're reminded by something they see or that person or some action, and it reminds them of something they experience. And then they may get depressed. Sadness may come in. There's so many emotions tied to it. And it's different for each person.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is like, if you're walking into a situation and you feel any emotion more or less coming up, whether it is anger, frustration, resentment, sorrow, pain, like whatever that is, and you might not even know the actual event that may be that root, right? You just know that when I'm with this person, I have this reaction. Is that kind of a good synopsis of what you just said, to like start becoming aware of, hey, there's probably some work that you might need to do?
Sometimes you want to I'll call them negative emotions that you're starting to feel. Because the positive one, you're happy,
Right.
oh, joy, peace, all those kind of emotion where you feel okay. And it's interesting because people who pray can really relate to that too, because when you pray, you find peace in your heart.
Right.
But it's when you don't have that peace in your life, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out, okay, why am I feeling this way? What are those emotions that are coming up that I'm not dealing with?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think I'm just going to relate this back to my current situation that I'm living in right now. So like I have a 3-year-old son and he is triggering a lot of things in me that I didn't know were wounds or that were unhealed. So like one of the things I've been struggling with is like slow to anger, slow to speak with him, because he'll just push my buttons after being with him all day. I'm like, I'm done. Like mommy has no more emotional capacity. But I'm just like, where's this rage or where's this frustration coming from? And then it like asking those questions though, right? You have to be self-aware enough to identify like, okay, this is a strong emotion and this little 3-year-old probably shouldn't be triggering, having that much control of my response. So where is this actually coming from? That I need to start asking questions and digging into, what is there a wound? God, is there a wound that I need to heal? Is there something that I need to uproot that's no longer serving me that I've been carrying? And that's like why I was excited to talk to you about this, because I know I struggle with it and I've done a lot of, healing and working on my emotional intelligence and my spiritual intelligence, and I love personal and professional development, but like every time there's just like things in my life where I'm in the season, it's like, man, God must be pruning me because he's revealing all these things that, hey, you're not quite done here, that maybe I thought I've worked on in the past, but there's still and layers to it, I guess. Maybe that's a better way to explain it. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you today, Yvette, because I think I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one having these like unexplained emotions or having to look into themselves or into their past to be like, hey, I don't want to feel rage. I'm a child of God. Like this is not my identity. I don't need to feel anger. And not that anger is wrong, but like, yeah, just like some of the behaviors that come with these big feelings that I'm having while my 3-year-old's having big feelings, right? So um I just I just think that this is such a powerful conversation to just bring awareness to. I think our emotions tell a story, and there's usually deeper meaning behind them. And so just shining a light into that. And that's kind of where I want this conversation to go. So I'll like stop and let you respond to all that.
There's a root, it's like when something is planted and it grows, but there's a root to the problem or a situation. And that's where you got to find out, because I'm not a gardener, but when you think about when you plant, you put good soil and then you fertilize and you water it every day. But if you miss something, or you stop watering, or you stop fertilizing, the plant eventually dies.
Right.
Well, in essence, I'm not saying we die, but whatever is going on with this is like maybe turning bitter, you're having a negative response.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you have to do is, and what I like to do is is like, where is it coming from and when does it happen?
Yeah.
It could be a trigger that happens because of a certain situation, but you have to figure out what that is. Sometimes, and I do include journaling in this, but because in the moment, sometimes you have to write down, okay, what is happening, what just happened, because it may not be the child. It could be a situation before the child came into the picture,
Yeah.
that occurred. So it could be something else. And that's what you have to sit down. And that's and I do group coaching, how, together with like-minded women to be able to discover together, what is that, happening.
Yeah. And I think that's powerful too, to like, we are called to heal in community. Like there's definitely some things that you need to do on your own and take responsibility for, right? But like, I believe God created us for community, and he created our healing. Like for me, my healing journey has always come by being around a community of strong Christian women, my prayer warriors. That's when I've had the biggest breakthrough. That's when I've had the most healing, was when I was surrounded by the community of God. And I think the fact that you're doing group coaching in this area is so important, because you can like see each other's, you can see something that I'm not going to see myself, right? Because I'm just so close to it. And so it does help to have that safe community, that safe environment to share these things with, and, either come together and like, hey, I've been there too. Like, let's hold hands as we figure this out together. Or, hey, I've been here, done that. Like this, let me share with you how you can overcome this faster. Or I see this in you. Here's something that maybe you missed. And so I think that's really powerful to do group coaching.
When you think about it, because, as Christians, we fellowship with each other.
Right.
And it gives us strength. And that's what God wants us to do, is to be there for each other, because, the greatest thing that we have from God is God's love for us.
Yes.
And that love that we can share with other people too. So fellowship, I think, is really important. And my groups are not big. So I cap them off at least 10 people for them to be a worthwhile experience. Yeah. Too many people in a group, it just gets lost.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You kind of become unseen or unheard, or it's just easier to sink into the background.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So once somebody has kind of at least identified or noticed like there's something triggering me and I'm having these big feelings. What does that look like to walk through the journey of actually laying down those burdens?
Us, the Bible is made for us. It's God's word. And we can also use that in our process as we go along, including our emotions. We can also look at the different verses regarding, if you're feeling sad or anxious and more. So the Bible helps that out. So, I take them through a process. That's why I put Jesus in the middle, because, he's the one that really taught us a lot about forgiveness.
Right.
And you see that a lot. Of course, it's through God, of course. But, a lot of it is about forgiveness. And when you go through the Bible, it's a lot, he's forgiven a lot of people. And we're supposed to walk godly. So we try our best.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. That's for sure. We do make mistakes and, and we do the wrong things, but at least we can try, and
Right.
So I just take them through this. I call it a journey, but it's a life-changing journey. And people want to be able to get through all those emotions, to be able to forgive, so they can move on and be at peace and happy.
So what are some of the things that you do on that journey with them to help them get to that place where they actually want to surrender or can even surrender?
Through our discussions, like I said, there's different processes. It's a 4-week program.
Okay.
Sometimes I have special bonuses or offer that go with it, because I'm also a certified strength, in strength. So I can do an assessment on strength, but I have those as bonuses sometimes. But it's, it's like I said, you start with one and we build on each week, we build on to it. Now, it doesn't have to stop after 4 weeks. I mean, you can go on to another, the next month and continue that journey. So it depends on your needs, because some people, it's something that can work fast for them to get through the different process and the different sessions. And some may take a little longer, because, we're all unique. We are not the same.
Yeah.
So it takes a little step here and there. So it's steps we go through.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I think that's so important. Sometimes we need that Sherpa, if you will, that Sherpa to the foot of the cross to actually identify and then walk with our brokenness to lay it down at the foot of the cross. And I think that's why community is so important and necessary with healing, because sometimes it's the battle of flesh and the spirit, right? And our flesh is afraid to really let go. That's our flesh is afraid to let go. Our spirit is willing, but our flesh is weak. And our flesh wants to just hold on to it because that feels safe. And if we hold on to it, what am I going to hold on to anymore? Right. And so I think that is a beautiful depiction of just going to Jesus to cast your burdens, to lay them down, to forgive at the foot of the cross. And doing it with your Sherpa community. That's what I call it when I do with some of my one-on-one clients. I do a healing session with them. And I'm I'm just your Sherpa. I'm just going to be here guiding you and talking you through this, but you're the one who's taking the steps, but you don't have to do it alone. And you don't have to handle these big feelings or handle these questions and the digging alone. Right. So I love that you mentioned you do this in community.
Yes. That's important.
Awesome. Is there anything else, Yvette, that you want to cover on this topic of forgiveness coaching before we wrap up today?
Well, I cannot let this go without talking about, I can't tell you what it is, but I will have an incredible offer for Black Friday.
Okay.
But I can't tell you what it is.
Okay. So where then can people find you, Yvette, so that they can learn all about it?
So, you can send me an email with your email, and of course I'll email you the information because I will be doing an email blast
Okay.
with the promotion for Black Friday. And, as you know, my email, I'll give you my Yvette, that's like Y as in yes, V as in Victor, ETTE at Hope, TLC, like tender loving care.com. So that's Yvette at hopetlc.com to send me your email if you want to be on that, the email list to hear about it. It'll probably be on my Facebook page, which you have that information. So it will go out, but it's an incredible, I'm telling you, it's an incredible offer. So, and it may not come again, ever. But so I'm excited about that. And it will be, it will be 4 weeks, 90-minute sessions, one each week. And then I also, I can do a complimentary inquiry session, and that's 30 minutes. It's complimentary. And you can go to, my website, which is hopetlc.com/calendar, and then book, inquiry session there. So yeah.
Awesome.
And then you can talk to me further, because then you can see if it's a fit for you.
Yeah.
It may not, it may or may not. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Yvette, for your time today. I think what you're doing is so needed and definitely important work and impactful work. So I'm so glad that we were able to have you on today and just to share what you're doing with others. So thank you so much, Yvette.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We would love to hear from you. So please share your takeaways by tagging @LiveVictorious over on Instagram and leave a review.
This will help us get more visibility and reach more women like you for the kingdom. We appreciate you and are praying for you as you shine your light in the business world and rise to your purpose.